It's Hollie's Hotspurs back with another one. Chatting all things Tottenham, we're second to none. Special guests every time, if it's win, lose or draw. The passion is high like Harry Kane when he scores. Or when Lloris makes a world-class save. We got Højbjerg running the mid every game. Settle down, stick around, share your thoughts with the panel. And make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Coys.
Hello, yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Hollie's Hotspurs Live. And guess what, ladies and gents, you've finally got a win to talk about. So hopefully we won't be as depressing as the last couple of weeks. I mean, we have got a lot to dissect. Obviously, that first half was something else, but we will get into it. And with me tonight to dissect everything, I have three fabulous guest. First of all, Wes is now on the starting 11 team sheet. He's not a super sub anymore. So Wes, how are you tonight, my friend?
Oh, I'm feeling good. Obviously, the big promotion, the big call up is obviously all well and good. And yeah, obviously always good to talk about a win as well. But yeah, all good. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you, Wes. Like I say, taking my invite this time and coming on and starting 11 team. Also with me tonight, I'm joined by Hollie, who has a very cool name. Hollie, how are you this evening?
I'm great, thanks, Hollie. Yeah, I'm glad to put my name to good use and be on Hollie's Hotspurs because representing all the Hollies out there, but Hollie with a Y.
Love it. I love it. No, thank you for joining me. Like I say, it's always nice. It's going to be very strange as well saying Hollie tonight, but it's going to be a good one. And also with me is George. George, how are you, my friend?
I'm very good, thank you. Thanks for having me back on.
No worries. Thank you. Welcome to everybody else as well that's joining in the chat. Hope you're all loving life, considering the fact that we've won this weekend. So it's a vibe. If you're watching and you are new, please remember to like, share, comment and subscribe, all the good stuff. And let's crack on to it. So obviously, it's finally a win, Wes. It didn't get off to the best of starts, did it? Because obviously that start 11 team sheet came out. And when I saw that back three that potentially turned into that back five, I wasn't too happy about it, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I think everyone looked at that team sheet and went, here we go, we're in for a long afternoon. I think it's just Emerson Royal and Davinson Sanchez. You should just never be in the same football team, or even in the same squad, never mind the same starting 11. But yeah, it does sort of put a bit of frighteners on us as fans. But I think for me, it was that midfield three. It looked very samey, and I actually turned to my dad after the lineup was announced and went, we're going to struggle to keep the ball today. And that is exactly how it panned out. We couldn't string three passes together until the Uruguay Moussa Dembele came on and changed everything.
I think you're right. I think we're all excited when we see obviously that midfield duo, but I don't know, Hollie. I feel like Wes has kind of touched on, we don't really seem to get into gears with the likes of Basuma and obviously Højbjerg and I can't remember the one off the top of my head. Skip, that's the one. And it was good to see Skippy, but Hollie, I don't think this was the type of game to try it.
No, I think it was definitely one of those where, as Wes said, we see the team sheet come out and you kind of like lose the will to live, but then also hope for a little bit of positivity, and that's sort of how I felt. And again, like the first half, as I always say, why are we so Spursy in the first half of any game? It's like we forget how to play football sometimes, and it's just unreal to watch. And then it puts us all under so much pressure at half time, because we feel like so much is riding on the second half, and as fans, it's like, why is this happening again? And it just sort of felt like we got through by the skin of our teeth. And yeah, we said we weren't going to talk about Emerson Royal and Davinson Sanchez all that much, but how can you not? How can you not? At this point, they have just turned into a meme, and I feel like that is their legacy in the team. It's just their memes, and it's sad because as fans, I think we deserve a bit more. And yeah, as I said to you guys before we went live on this, it's just what's Conte thinking when he starts the same players? It just doesn't translate to us fans, so it just can be quite disappointing. But high hopes for tomorrow's game anyway. Hopefully, we'll have a little bit more gusto as soon as we step out on the pitch.
Definitely. You make some great points in terms of Conte having and keeping the faith in Emerson, George, because I remember a few weeks ago we were talking about Emerson, and I said that I wouldn't make this show the Emerson Royale hate show, but I just don't know how many more times we can sit here and be like, he's on the starting 11 sheet again. I mean, before we went live as well, Wes was saying how he obviously booted the ball out of the stadium into the car park.
Still hasn't landed yet, has it?
I know, it's still going. I just don't understand what runs through Conte's head.
Yeah, it genuinely worries me that how bad Jed Spence must be if he's still trusting Emerson every single week ahead of him. Honestly, it's quite scary. And the problem is, like, he for one he just isn't a wing back. I think exactly what Conte needs is that's why he prefers putting wingers there, because they need to be able to cross the ball, they need to be able to create goals, score goals, and he can't do any of that. And to be fair, like before, I have credited his defending in the past because it is definitely better than his attacking. But obviously, after we saw in that Bournemouth game, it was just he's ball watching. He's trying to go in with his feet for the second goal rather than trying to head it clear. Like, it's just, I don't know, the football intelligence, so to speak, just doesn't really seem to be there. So I genuinely don't understand how he still gets in the team. I can understand him dropping some of the first team players in that game because obviously tomorrow's match against Marseille is massive, and a lot of the good players on our team have looked a bit leggy recently. But I think it just goes to show you just how much better our first team is compared to the rest of the squad, because as soon as the likes of Bentancur came on, it just switched on the second half, and I think we totally dominated them, to be honest. So yeah, definitely probably a lot more work needs to be done in the future windows to sort of definitely, better the squad, and before we get anywhere near talking about titles or anything like that.
Oh, defo. It's interesting you mentioned, obviously, the fact of, obviously, we brought players on and the whole thing changed. And Wes, I was thinking about this yesterday. Is it a tactic from Conte to be like, look, Levy, edit, this is what I've got to deal with. I can't rely on them because this has happened. Now I bring on the big guns, my signings, and things happen. Do you think it's that, or am I reading maybe too much into it?
I genuinely think, like, with some of our fringe players and our squad players, I genuinely think they are banging on Conte's door, going, look, Gaffer, give me a chance. Come on, I want to play games. Come on, give me a chance. Let me show you what I can do. He then gives them that chance and they're not producing. So then Conte's going back to them and going, well, hold on a minute. I'm giving you this opportunity to play and you're not taking it. I think we've had that certainly under Mourinho, when he tried to rotate teams, especially in the Europa League and things like that. And obviously we went out to Zagreb and stuff like that. And I think even under Poch, to a certain degree, I just don't think the squad was necessarily that deep with Poch. I don't think he could make those changes as such. But yeah, I just think it's, players are wanting the opportunity and just not really taking it, to be fair.
I think you're right. It's just very confusing. And like Phil says here, you cannot be telling me that he's choosing Emerson or Doherty over Spence, because, Holly, we haven't really seen Spence. We don't know what Spence offers. And obviously there's that argument that we're not on the training ground. But when we see the same performances week in, week out by Emerson, you think to yourself, what has this Spence he's got to do? What's he got to do?
I know, and similar to I just completely agree with what George said just then. Like, how bad has he got to be? And, he must sit there and watch the games and think, he must have a lot of like self-love for himself, because, if I was him, I would do a Ronaldo and walk back out, because I'd be thinking, what am I here for if you're going to pick him over me? I mean, it is a shame. And I always say I'd like to see more of him. I've got colleagues who stop me in work and they go, when are they going to get Spence on? And I go, you're asking me like I'm supposed to know that question. I don't know. And I think, there was a lot of excitement when we signed him. So to see him literally get barely any time on the pitch is quite sad, especially when all of us are screaming and shouting to get certain players off and other players on. I'm going to stop saying their names because I don't want to seem like such a hater.
I know, but I think I'm the same. Obviously, when Harry Winks was at the club, I was praising him and this, that, and the other. And you come to your senses and be like, actually, no, we need better. And I think the trouble is now these names have been knocking about all the time, not just this show, but different shows. And I think it's us as fans, we know what's going on. So why is nothing being done with contact? I don't know. But obviously going back to the game, and we'll talk about obviously the goal we conceded first. George, do you want to kind of explain it? Because I still cannot get my head around what Sanchez is thinking to go to the man rather than stand in the middle to make the angle harder for the goal to go in or harder for the pass to be played across.
Yeah, I also, for that, like the way he was just sliding in as if he was going to take a shot in that sort. I don't know. It was such a tough angle for that player to shoot from there. It was sort of a bit unnecessary for him to slide across, which just created a very, very easy pass to Moore to score. Just a bit naive defending, really. I think it reminds me, it's like, you know, when we played against Liverpool away, when Sissoko was running through on goal and Van Dijk was sort of blocking it. Like, he did the right thing there, Van Dijk, by standing his ground, letting him have the chance and sort of blocking the pass. Whereas Sanchez did the complete opposite and was just like, you know what, I'm just going to slide straight past you and give you an easy tap in. So I don't know. Like we said already, like the pairing of him and Emerson just doesn't fill any fans or most fans with confidence when it comes to defending. So it's just not. I don't personally want to see that pairing in a future match, and hopefully the sooner Romero can get back, the better. Or at least just change the right wing back, because I think it's just naive defending.
And I think that's the thing. Obviously, I don't think Dyer's been playing the best of games, Wes, but there was no leader in that back line. And we rely heavily on the likes of Romero and Dyer, even though I don't think Dyer's having a great game, but we've got no one else to call upon. I thought going to say it was strange not seeing Dyer, because I think his recent performances kind of are there for him to be down into the bench. But we just can't seem to do it because we don't have the personnel to be able to do that.
No, and it's an interesting one as well, because I think someone like Tanganga, who for me probably fits that right-sided centre-back slot quite well, again, must be looking at it going, well, Sanchez dropping absolute clangers left, right and centre, and George was absolutely bang on. Like, I'm watching that attack develop and I'm just going, Sanchez, just stay where you are, literally just stay where you are. But no, he decides to absolutely fly over, slide in, and he actually makes... I think it's Tavernier who's bearing down on God. He just makes his mind up for him and just goes, "Here, Kiefer Moore, have that." And
gave his first assist of the season as well, which is
typical.
Says you everything.
That's a Tottenham moment. That's a Dr. Tottenham moment right there. But yeah, I think again, some of these players must be scratching their heads, going, "Well, what have I got to do? What have I got to do to get a game?" And yeah, like you say, the lack of leader in that back three, somebody taking responsibility. I think that was evident, especially for the second goal, because between, again, Sanchez and Royale, the defending is just absolutely abysmal. Like, if my under sevens or under eights defend like that, I'm asking questions. Never mind players that are playing in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that was ridiculous. But I think Kiefer Moore bullied our back three for 60 minutes. Absolutely bullied them. Couldn't get anywhere near him. And then I think actually Eric Dyer coming onto the pitch changed it, and he was like, no, I'm not going to have it. Even though he was playing on that right side of the three, he just went, no, I'm not going to have it, and actually sort of stood up to him. And then, after that, Kiefer Moore was really quiet, and Bournemouth didn't really get playing after that. So yeah, it was a good change from Conte to make, but should we have really got there in the first place? Probably not.
Hi, and like we talk about obviously the calamity in defence, but I felt also in that game, Holly, I mean, we've touched on it slightly, but there just wasn't any creativity. I think there was a stat, I think Harry Kane in the first half made 4 out of the 5 crosses, and he's supposed to be our striker. Like, I don't understand what was going on in that. So it's just annoying seeing Harry Kane drop, but then we've got nothing else, have we?
Yeah, and that's the thing, and I always say this is the thing that's frustrating, is because I feel like, especially in the first half, we always seem to lack creativity. I don't think that's anything new, and it just almost feels like there's no passion or desire to want to change the level of the game, and it is frustrating and it is stressful. And I think, yeah, of course, like you asked, I was looking on Twitter while the game was on, and people are saying, who do you reckon's our best player at the moment? And they say it's always going to be Kane. It's always going to be Kane, and it's like, sometimes I find him like forgettable. Sometimes, like occasionally, I just think like, where has he been? I've not, I wouldn't have realised he's even been there. And I think that is such a shame. But then, of course, occasionally, well, often to be fair, he'll come out and you go, yeah, okay, that's why he is so loved and adored by us. But yeah, would have liked to have seen more from him this game for sure. And I think I don't know if that's maybe because he's a bit too comfortable in his position that maybe he loses that desire. You have players like Bentancur who just absolutely, you can feel the energy when he's on the pitch. And I feel like we need that to translate, to all players really.
No, you made a great point. I also think it's obviously the fact that he's just not getting any service either, George. And I know we could talk for hours on the creativity, like Holly said, there just is none currently. So I just don't know where we kind of go from here, because you see him here, there, and everywhere. And like Holly said, in the crucial moments when you want him in the box, he's the one supplying the cross.
Yeah, unfortunately, there was a lot of times in that first half as well where I thought we managed to work the ball up fairly well, and it was Skip or Emerson were the ones that were sort of on the right side of the box that were having to do the crossing. And like, it's a shame because that shouldn't be Skip's job. He shouldn't be the one that's like inside the box having to lay the cross a ball or pass it back. And I think probably 90% of the time he wasn't able to find the man. Whereas if we had someone that was a lot more creative in midfield that was in those positions, you'd probably think we'd get a couple goals in the first half and sort of switch on from then. So yeah, I think we were all crying for it in the summer, and I think it's definitely something we probably need to address in January ASAP, because it's just needed. The problem is Kane is great at creating the chances, but you want Kane on the end of them as well. And then when Son's not on fire, because usually that's who Kane's crossing to, then who else is going to score? That's why we've had to rely on Bentancur and Højbjerg recently, and luckily they've saved us a few times, because we just don't have anyone else that's going to create those chances or score them.
We literally just need 2 Kanes and then we'll be fine.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I don't think that's naturally possible. But Wes, I come to you because obviously you were at the game, and I heard a geezer on the telly saying, move forward. And I think all of us kind of felt that. So Wes, what was that atmosphere kind of like from the Tottenham end in terms of, I'm guessing it wasn't great, to be fair, on the first half, and even the part of the second half when we conceded again.
Well, firstly, it wasn't me shouting move forward, by the way. I think when we concede, I think the first thing was we conceded 2 really good chances for Bournemouth inside the first 3 minutes. And I turned to my dad and was like, we're in for a long afternoon here if we carry on. Obviously, we went 1-0 down and it was a bit flat in the away end. Then we sort of had 5 minutes of just venting our anger pretty much, and then tried to get behind the team, which I feel like in the away end we did. Second half, we come out, see Lucas Moura coming on, and we're thinking, right, brilliant, here we go. Something's changing. And then we concede and go 2-0 down, and we're like, right, here we go, brilliant. So, yeah, I think at that point, I think most fans were really, really annoyed, really peeved. But then, obviously, come to the end of the game, and it's just absolute limbs in the away end, especially for the last goal. I won't say too much about it because, I've ended up on match of the day because of it, really. It was a strange feeling, I think, in the away end. But I think second half, especially when Conte made those changes and we were really putting Bournemouth under a lot of pressure, you could almost sense that we wanted to not only get something from the game, but to win the game. And I think it was Højbjerg's effort towards the end of the game. And I sort of turned to my dad and I just had a feeling that I said, look, we're going to nick this. We really are, sort of the way we were playing. But I mean, it's credit to the subs in particular. They came on and made an impact, because how many times have we seen subs coming onto the pitch and just drifting in the game and maybe just running about a little bit, not really having that much of an impact on the game. So yeah, I think it was really, really nice to see the changes that Conte made in game actually working and giving it their all and for the benefit of the team.
Yeah, definitely. You make some great. It's nice to hear your kind of perspective being there, kind of thing, because obviously there's only so much you can take from watching it on the telly. But moving on slightly, obviously we did manage to turn it around, Holly, and that was from obviously Højbjerg's brilliant pass towards Sessegnon, and I think it's going to obviously do Sessegnon's confidence a world of good, because we've spoken about him many times about how he's a confidence player, and I think that's going to do wonders for him.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard when I was on Chris Cowlin's podcast a few weeks ago, I was singing his praises, Sessegnon. I really like him as a player, so it was really amazing to see him shine like that, especially when we needed, to get a goal in. And the fact that it was him, I think, was just really lovely, because I think he's one of those players that can easily be pushed to the background. But I jumped up and I screamed. I was like, yes, come on! And so it was lovely to see. And hopefully that means he'll get a little bit more time out there for us.
Definitely, and I think that's how Sessegnon works. He's very much a confidence player. If he's done well last game, he'll take it into his next. If he hasn't done so well, then you can see his form kind of dropping off. But it was great for him to get the goal, Holly. But also, George, it was nice to see a direct ball forward from Højbjerg, I think.
Yeah, I mean, a few of the times he's tried them before hasn't paid off. But yeah, I mean, how many times so far this season have we been complaining that we haven't been able to carry the ball forward? And it was, almost an inch perfect pass. So big up Højbjerg for that. We definitely needed that to sort of get us going. And I actually quite liked it when some of the subs were made and Sess was pushed onto like the right wing back, because there was a couple of times where he managed to cut in and put a very decent cross in. And I think I quite like when Perisic and Sessegnon on the same side, because they can easily swap, play on both sides, and it's obviously a lot more dangerous than having someone like Emerson there. So no, he had a very good game while he was on, and very happy for him to get the goal.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll stick with you, George. I also want to talk how the way that obviously you've spoken about Perisic and Sessegnon, and again, Perisic is the one that delivers that corner to then go to draw the game basically at that point. So I think it is hard for Sessegnon to sometimes get ahead of Perisic because of how good his deliveries are.
Yeah, I think that Sessegnon's mainly getting his chances when it's Conte sort of resting or rotating Perisic and making sure he doesn't get injured again. And I mean, look, Perisic against Chelsea took corner, got an assist there, got an assist on another one where he wasn't taking it but flicked on. I think his experience just sort of helps a lot in games, especially in these sort of games where we needed to come back. But at the end of the day, Sessegnon's learning from probably one of the best. I mean, he was probably the best left wing back last season in Europe, well, according to Inter fans anyway. So nothing wrong with that. But I think it took about Sonny maybe 14, 15 attempts on corners before something happened when he did it, whereas Perisic, maybe his second, and we got the goal from it. So no, I would like to see him on the moor and on the pitch as much as he can, but I understand that he sort of has to protect him and make sure he doesn't get injured, because if we lose him as well, then yeah, we're screwed.
I don't want to even think about it, to be honest, if that happens. But no, maybe, Wes, that's the way forward. Maybe have Sessegnon on the left and have Perisic on the right, because like, where is it? United Spurs of America said, he offers more on the right on whoever starts there in terms of Emerson. So could that maybe be something Conte's thinking about now?
Potentially. I think there was one game a few weeks ago where he'd swapped them mid-game. And I was a bit like, I don't think we were playing overly well at that point. I think it might have been the Leicester game. And I was thinking, Sess is getting hooked at half time, because there's no way you change mid-game when you're playing badly and you survive, basically. But yeah, no, I think in the Bournemouth game in particular, it worked wonders. I think Perisic's delivery, mate, Postman Perisic, I'm calling him from now on, unbelievable. Because the thing is, you know exactly what he's going to do, especially on that left-hand side. He's going to try and square up a player, shift it, and he just teases crosses in every single time. But they are just inch perfect, to the point where if you're a goalkeeper or a defender, you're always going to be stretching to see if you can get a nick on it. And it's just a dream for any centre-forward or forward-thinking player to try and get, something on it. And yeah, I think his delivery for Davis's equaliser was absolutely brilliant. And yeah, he's proven with his delivery he's a real asset to us, because like every time he's on the pitch, it's almost like, no, just let Perisic have the corners, because we're much more of a threat than Son or whoever else is taking the corners, because Sonny has got the Ericsson syndrome where he can't beat the first man. But yeah, I think Perisic has just been brilliant. His experience that he's brought to the squad, to the team, to the club has just been brilliant. I know at half time he literally grabbed Lucas Moore and was like, right, come on and let's go do something, towards the goal. And I just think those little touches and those little bits are just helping everybody within the club.
Definitely. And I think it's kind of like with Sonny and corners, it's a bit like when Harry Kane steps up to take a free kick, you're thinking, oh no, not again. But Holly, I think he'd be a threat in the box, wouldn't he, Sonny? I don't know why he's got this thing in him that he wants to take every corner.
Yeah, I don't get it. And I mean, it's one of those things I think where you need to sort of like play to your strengths. You know, and you said there about a free kick. It was really nice in this game to see Sonny have a free kick, even though obviously it didn't get the result that we wanted. It was nice to see Kane take a step back and Sonny do that. And maybe then in that sense, Son needs to spin it back around the other way and maybe not take corners, because I mean, I have at times I've sort of said, oh, I'm a bit skeptical about Perisic. I don't know why, because maybe it's just because of my love of Sess, but he's different gravy, isn't he? When you see him taking a corner and stuff, it's just like, yeah, okay, I feel like he's won me over. Not like he really needed to or cares or knows who I am, but anyway, just so you know, Perisic, if you're listening, you did. And yeah, nice to see Perisic and Seth playing together. So maybe that's something that I need to stop thinking. Maybe it's one or the other. And I think, yeah, at times I thought that Seth wasn't getting enough play because of Perisic. But yeah, it's good to see them on together. And yeah, nice to see him taking corners. So maybe Sonny needs to take a step back there and maybe go with more free kicks, but get one in next time.
I would love it if one of our players could soon get one in, because we get them in good areas. You just don't seem to ever hit the target, just hit the wall. But obviously, moving away slightly from the goal that got us onto the level peggings. George, I want to talk about obviously Bentancur. I know Wes wants to say his famous words about him, so I'll let him talk in a minute. But he's just a game changer, isn't he? And we saw it again against Bournemouth.
I love him so much. I've not seen a player so composed on the ball in a long time. Like what I was saying before about Dembele, like it's just effortless. The chance in the game where he was sort of slightly in our half, and he just sort of, I think he nutmegs a player, just knocks it past one, knocks it past the other, and then hooks onto the right side of the pitch. Just effortless in everything that he does, and he definitely changed the game big time. And he saved us midweek against Sporting, and he's done it again this weekend. And I think he's just, a lot of the times at Juve, I think he was just on and off the bench and maybe not having the confidence. Whereas now he seems to be in and out, in the Spurs team the whole time. He's just looking better and better every game, and probably I'd say our best player so far this season. Bar Kane getting the goals, but his performances still haven't been quite the height that we know he can be. So yeah, man, love Bentancur so much.
He is the reason as well, like Kevin said, he is the reason. But Wes, I'll come to you because I know you'll want to do your bit about him and Musa. So far away, go on.
Just he's the reason, isn't he? Bentancur, he's unbelievable. Like how much? 15 million of the Queen's finest. Run it up and hang it in the Louvre. Honestly,
Steal.
Mate, someone's getting a call because that's daylight robbery right there. Oh, what a guy. Literally, I absolutely love him. My favourite player. Uruguay, Musa Dembele, all of that. Just absolutely love him. Just brings that element of calmness to the midfield, takes the ball in tight situations, is happy to receive it there, can turn or just pop it off. He draws players to him as well. And I think he's just been an absolute revelation for us. He's transformed the midfield. Just by, as George said, bringing that air of calmness. And yeah, I absolutely love him. Like I say, my favourite player. And, you've got to be special when you're getting compared to the greatest of all time in Moose. So yeah, he's definitely up there. And I think the good thing for us is that he is still of a good age. So hopefully we will see the best years of him. Because when we've had players before, like a Modric or a Bale, or, we've been more, inclined to sell. So the fact that we've got somebody who's got his best years ahead of him, we should see his best years, should I say. I think he's just going to absolutely thrive for us. And his relationship with Højbjerg in the midfield just complement each other so well. And I think they've brought the best out in each other's games as well. So, I think that's just proving a massive hit in our midfield. And it's almost like when one doesn't play, the other suffers because of it, because of their relationship that they've got. But listen, like that person says there, if Juve have got any more rejects, send them our way, because the two that we've got ain't half bad, to be fair.
Definitely, we don't mind adding some more. But Holly, I think that's why it was so nice that he obviously got rewarded with that goal late on to seal the deal for us.
Oh, absolutely. And what it was almost like you could just feel his adrenaline. He goes for it, he doesn't get it, and he just goes for it again. Like, it was almost like he had the reaction of a cat. He just went straight for it again, and off he goes and he gets it in. So it was just, his focus was clear to see, and just his celebrations. I mean, come on, you got to love them, haven't you? I mean,
not really, Holly, because I was in the away end rushing down to the bottom to get in the limbs, and he's gone the other way.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Way.
Well, if I could, I would have swapped places with you. It's better than being here on my sofa, put it that way.
But it's like he's got one job. He scores the winner in the 90th minute or whatever. Just run over to the fans and just lap it all up. But no, he goes the other side.
He's like me. As soon as someone shouts that the buffet's open at any party, I just dart for it and don't think about anything else. So, but yeah, I mean, even against Sporting and stuff, obviously we don't want to talk about that goal, but even you just see his reaction and stuff to it, you can just see he's really like found his place in the team, and as you guys have said, hopefully he's got his best years ahead, and hopefully they'll be at Spurs and we'll just see him continue to grow and continue to shine. Great to see him in the midfield. And Højbjerg, talking about, he is just, I think he's really been one of my favourites so far this season. You just got to love him, haven't you? So the pair of them, definitely two of my favourites for sure this season.
Definitely. I mean, I've had Winks love for a very long time, but now I can see that my eyes were blind entirely having Højbjerg and Bentancur. Højbjerg annoys me sometimes with his passes, but now he made that pass to Sessegnon, I don't care anymore. He's fine. He's chill. But before we obviously move on to obviously previewing the next couple of games, I want to say a big thank you to Enes. Enes, I didn't forget about you. I just wanted to talk about Bentancur first. So he's come up with a super chat saying, question for the panel, what would be your ideal January transfer window? I think I kind of know already what people's answers are. So George, I'll start with you first. What would be ideal for you?
I think it's got to be probably realistically similar to last year, where it's maybe two or three like key players to the team. We're not going to go all out and bring in 5-6 players. It's unrealistic for January. So for me personally, I think James Maddison's going to be top of the list. I love him, and I think we need a creative midfielder like him. And as well, he plays off the right wing a lot of the times with Leicester. So it's not like he can't fit into Conte's system. For moments like this, exactly with Kulusevski being out and we're missing, and bear in mind Kulusevski is normally the one that is the creator on our team off of the wing. So if we brought in a Maddison like that, I think that would be fantastic. I definitely think we need another centre back, whether that is actually going for Bastoni again or just someone of a higher level that can help and walk into the first team a bit, because we seem to struggle a little bit here and there. The jury's still out with Longley as well. He hasn't necessarily done enough for me yet to convince me to keep him long term. And then definitely I would like to address the right wing back situation. If he's not going to use Spence at all ever, then I think we definitely need to sort of look at other higher class players to bring in. But yeah, I'd say those are the sort of players and areas I'll target. Yeah,
definitely. It's someone that can just walk into the starting 11. I mean, Wes, do you reckon that can be done, do you think, in January? Especially with the whole Conte thing at the moment, whether he's staying, where he's going, this, that, and the other.
Yeah, I think it can. But I genuinely think this January transfer window is probably almost going to be like a summer transfer window, because we've got the World Cup. And we all know what happens after a World Cup or a Euros. Someone has an absolute worldie and gets bought for like 30 million, like Moussa Sissoko. I genuinely think this January window will be the craziest one, I think, that we'd have seen in a long time. But no, I think I completely agree with George in the sense that the right wing back situation definitely needs addressing. Whether we can pay somebody to take Emerson or not is another question. But yeah, I think perhaps a centre back, but I don't think that would be high on the agenda. But yeah, I think certainly that number 10, that creative spark in the midfield would be one. Whether that's Maddison or not, whether Leicester would sell in January, I don't know. But I know they need to sort of balance their books for financial fair play, so that one might be there. Whether Newcastle then decide to flex their muscles, with all their oil money, whether City do anything with their oil money. We're up against, quite a few teams. I think United will go strong in January as well. Another statement of intent to back their manager with some funds. So yeah, but I think those 3 positions are definitely key for us in January. In terms of names, can't really give you many off the top of my head, unfortunately. But I'd like to see those 3 positions though either dealt with or upgraded is probably the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, I think kind of feel the same kind of way. Holly, are you kind of on the same boat? I know we've spoken a lot about right wing back tonight, but I feel like that just kind of shows that we need to bring someone in.
Yeah, I won't lie to you. I'm not the best person to ask about who I think from other teams, but obviously you knew already, didn't you, Holly? My answer was going to be to get rid of our right wing back, and maybe and also our centre back as well. Those 2 together can go, and then it will even just like get Spence on, and then just for the price that we've sold for the other 2, get someone even better, more amazing on. Like, because at this point, I am so sorry, Emerson, because again, I said I feel like a bully, but I just feel like sometimes I could do a better job. I think
we all feel like that, to be fair. Some of the stints he's put in.
But he sets the bar that low that I could do the conga under it. So there we go. I think just get rid of them 2, and I'll be fine. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
To be fair, Holly, I'm not very good at signings either, but you've wrapped that up pretty well. So I rate it. Thank you. But no, I think we're kind of all on the same page in who we want in, who we want gone, this, that, and the other. I mean, it'd be interesting January transfer window, to say the least. But obviously, we have a massive game to talk about before we get to January. And for United Spurs of America's sake, George, I hope that we do win so he can have a great birthday.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very, very nervous. I can't lie. It's one of those situations where they obviously need a win, obviously, to go through. We sort of only need a draw, so to speak. And playing at their ground is obviously going to be very, very hostile. We all know what their fans have been like previously, hence why they weren't allowed fans at the Frankfurt game. So yeah, I'm very nervous. Let's just put it that way. But I hope as well they don't ruin your birthday, because we need to get through. We have to get through, basically.
Yeah, definitely, to get into that position and then it be riding on a draw. But I think with the momentum and the way we've been playing, we need that win, Wes. And I think Marseille, if I'm not quoted wrong, that they haven't actually won a league game yet. So you know what's going to happen, don't you?
Oh, here we go. Dr. Tottenham may pay a visit. Let's hope not. But yeah, I think what they showed in the first game of the Champions League was that they are a very, very good side. Really annoying that they've got like half of Arsenal's reserve side and Dimitri Payet as well. So obviously they're going to have a little bit of extra motivation, a little bit of extra fire in their bellies to try and get one over on us. Yeah, I think we need to just do what we can to get the job done. I think if we play for a draw, it won't end well. I think we have to really go for it and try and win the game. Because then I think if we do get the draw, then obviously we've got enough for us to get through. But yeah, I think, it's not going to be an easy game. But yeah, fingers crossed. I think Conte did say, and I think that's why he made the changes for Bournemouth, that this is almost like a final for us. So I think he's going to go full strength. And yeah, but I think if we don't get through, we're going to be absolutely battered by anyone and everyone, because it is a group on paper that we really should have qualified from and probably topped. But then when you kind of deep it, in reality, I feel like the majority of if not all of the teams are pretty much on a similar level, if not the same sort of level to where we are right now. And I think that's the reality of it. But yeah, I think we've just got to do what we can to get the job done.
And I think the biggest thing as well, Holly, is the fact that you say this, like we've spoken about, you said how we start so slow. And if Conte says it's a final, as much as I'm not really a fan of the term final, because I know how we do in finals, but surely that will get them motivated.
I hope so. And I really think tomorrow we will. I think a draw won't be good enough. And especially from the point of fans, is, we really need something to celebrate about now. We need a strong first half. We don't need all the pressure to be on the second half. We want them to play consistently throughout, and to secure a win. And we can do it. Like you said, Marseille not got a league game yet. We can do it, but the problem is, I think that the team actually need to believe themselves that they can do it. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. It's all to play for. But I know that's probably the wrong thing to say, because, like you said, as soon as we say it's a final, it all goes wrong. But I think Conte as well is going to want to assert his position. So I think all out on attack.
Hopefully so. And I think all of us fans as well, after obviously, I'm going to say narrowly beating Bournemouth, because it was a bit hairy and squeaky bum time for most of it. So I hope that we do go out and obviously do the business tomorrow. But I was obviously, before the game started against Bournemouth, we saw Kulusevski warming up, Georgia, and I was quite happy. I was thinking to myself, oh, does that mean he's going to be back for Marseille? Is it going to happen? But sadly, I don't think it's going to be.
No, I think I was really excited to see Kulu sort of running in that game, but then at the start, before the game, but then I don't know, it seemed a little bit stiff as well. So I don't know if it was just more preparations. I'm hoping he's back soon. We need him. We need him desperately. I think he's been an amazing player for us, and that creative spark we needed. But I don't know. I can't. I don't even know if he's going to be ready before the World Cup even starts. With the way that things seem to be going with our team and injuries. So I beg that maybe we're just resting him again, and he's just trying to get him ready for Liverpool. I don't know. I really hope so, but yeah, it's not looking good at how long he's been out so far.
Right, and like you said, he is vital in terms of our creativity, because literally everything stems from him, and it hasn't really been happening.
Especially
recently.
when you look at the Leicester game, the balls he was pinging to the back post to get Kane to score and all sorts. Yeah, he's definitely that spark that we're missing.
Definitely. But yeah, hopefully we can be still talking next week that we managed to get through the Champions League into the knockouts. I want to say a big thank you to Carl before we move on. He's become another member for another month, so thank you, my friend. I do really appreciate it. You can spam all those emotes in the chat now, so thank you very much. But obviously, next up is Liverpool, Wes, and they had a bit of their own medicine, shall we say, because they lost at home, and that is unheard of. So how are we shaping up to play them next week?
Yeah, it screams of Dr. Tottenham playing a visit, doesn't it? Liverpool are in bad form, bit indifferent at the minute. We seem to be going relatively all right. So yeah, just screams Dr. Tottenham really. But I think the games against Liverpool are always, certainly in the last few years, I'd probably say bar one, which was when we had Mourinho, but they seem to be fairly tight games. So yeah, I think, look, if there is a time to perhaps play Liverpool on paper, you'd probably go, well, it's now, because they've got loads and loads of injuries, team decimated, they're on the downer. People are wondering what's going on with Klopp. Has his time kind of run its course at Liverpool? Obviously, the age profile of that squad is getting a lot older. They're not covering as much ground like they used to. So yeah, I think it could be a time for us to really capitalize on that. But it's a big game, and Liverpool do tend to turn up every now and then in these big games, and they tend to turn up against us as well. To be fair, we do owe them one or two. So hopefully we'll take advantage of where they are right now.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right in terms of now is probably the best time. And Holly, obviously we're playing at home as well, and I know we'll forget the Newcastle game, but normally our home is a fortress, isn't it? So you think of yourself, Liverpool on the downer, they're coming to our ground, it's all looking good.
Yeah, I think we'll just do as you just said there, Holly, and forget about Newcastle game, okay? Because at home, it's always, I say this like I've never been, from what I can gather anyway, a fantastic atmosphere, and just makes such a difference. Of course it does, to any team, playing at home makes a huge difference. With what Wesley just said, if there's a time to play Liverpool, it's now. They'll probably be sort of dragging their heels a little bit after losing. Maybe they've been a bit too cocky of late. So so now is the time, I guess. But I don't know. I think the problem is with us, we're so unpredictable, and that's why we can try as we like to call it what we want and predict things, but it really just depends on the day. It depends what they have for breakfast. I think it's that up in the air sometimes, but I'm more confident with them playing at home for sure. So let's just put it to one side. Yes, we lost to Newcastle at home, but we'll beat Liverpool at home. Hey!
I love the positivity, Holly. I hope that is the case, because obviously, George, we've spoken about how Klopp's got this 7-year thing going on, that he always does bad when it's on the 7th year. How are you kind of feeling to play Liverpool at home?
I'm feeling okay. I think just because like their midfield is very aging, obviously, apart from the likes of Harvey Elliott, but I still don't think he's sort of gotten to that level yet that Liverpool really need. Whereas the rest of it, they seem to obviously have injury issues left, right, and centre. Fabinho does not seem to be near the level of play he was in previous seasons either. So I feel like if we have like Højbjerg and Bentancur in form, whether that is maybe going with Basuma as well in a 3 or if it's just a 2, I think we sort of need to win the battle there. If they're on the ball a lot more than their midfield, then I think we're going to have a better game for sure. And we should have beaten them last year, if I'm being honest with you. So, and that was them with a close to a full strength team. The youngster they put in the game, but no, I think we've got a good chance. I mean, we just sort of have to keep going. We've sort of got to keep up with the pace of the likes of Man City and, dare I say, Arsenal at the moment, and just have to pick up these 3 points, especially with how poor Liverpool have been. So I'm feeling okay at the moment, but obviously getting closer to the game, the nerves are definitely going to keep on rising. But I think we should be fine. I think we should do well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's probably the positive to take, that Klopp is having a bit of a wobbly at the moment. I think he's running out of excuses, so that's probably why he's a bit all over the place. But no, it'll be an interesting game, obviously, Marseille and Liverpool at the weekend. And hopefully next Monday we'll be talking about, obviously, the Liverpool win, because that would be fabulous to do. But before we go, I want to say a big thank you to you three for joining me tonight. So we'll do our usual carousel. So Wes, I'm so ready for where everybody can find you, my friend. Go for it.
Yeah, find me on Twitter at Wezo10. Usually just tweeting about Moussa Dembele, calling him the greatest of all time. That's probably about it, to be fair. It takes up like 90% of my Twitter feed. Instagram at Wezo32. You'll probably see me taking pictures of football grounds, because follow Tottenham up and down the country, go as often as I can. And I also have my own football coaching business in the Milton Keynes area, Dele Alli country. So it's Kickoff Football Academy, or Kofa MK, on all social media platforms. And I finally got the TikTok up and running as well. So get involved with that as well.
I love it, Wes. I love your little outro. I love it every time. I'm like, Moussa Dembele's in there. Make sure I get that in there every time. But no,
has to be.
Thank you for joining me tonight. And Holly as well, thank you so much for joining me. Where can everybody find you doing your thing as well?
Oh no, thank you for having me on, Holly. It feels like I've known you for a long time, because we've been Twitter friends for a long time, but it's crazy. This is actually the first time that we've met. But anyway, thank you for having me on. Obviously I've put my Twitter handle down below, so it's at Hollie BBC. I am here in a personal capacity, by no means affiliated to the BBC, but that is where you can find me. So now I've got the boring stuff out of the way. I just I noticed a comment earlier on in the chat, but I can't find it now. I think it's gone too far down. But there was someone called Eleanor or Elena that wrote a really nice message that said thanks to both of us, Holly, for doing our bit for women in football, and that she watched me on Chris Cowley's podcast the other week. So I just want to say thanks so much to her for saying that, because you won't believe how much hate I get from angry men on Twitter, quite often in my DMs and in comments, just saying I don't know what I'm talking about. So thank you to people that actually say the nice things, because it means a lot.
Honestly, Holly, don't listen to them, mate. They don't know nothing. It's chill. They're obviously just a bit jealous, but no, keep doing what you're doing, honestly. And George, thank you as well for joining me tonight. Where can everybody find you?
No, of course. Thanks for having me back on. And as you've seen, George Achilles, pretty much across everything: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all sorts. Pretty much just predominantly doing matchday vlogs when I go to the games, and just chatting a lot of crap about Spurs. That's pretty much it.
It's a good therapy session as
well. Yeah, of course.
but it's not too bad when we're winning. But no, that leaves me last to say thank you to everybody that's watched tonight or is rewatching this back. I am really sorry, but I don't really have enough time anymore to do the audio version. Once I sort my life out a little bit better, I will make sure that I crack on and do that. But no, thanks again to everybody joining. See you again next time, next Monday, same place, same time, with different guests. And until next time, come on, you Spurs.